Kerry, thank you for spending some time with us this morning. I just want to go back right to the start into the 1960s where you were born in Stoke-on-Trent. What was your first experience of getting involved in football, in any capacity, I guess?
Uh, it was just playing with the boys at school and after school and all my spare time. There was no girls' teams around. I grew up in Sneyd Green. I was in Sneyd Green until I was 9, 10. Then my parents moved to Harrisey Head. So when I was in Sneyd Green, I just played football with the boys.
Did you feel comfortable or did you feel out of place playing with the boys?
Very comfortable,
Yeah.
never out of place, no. The first team I joined was Sandbach Women. My brother, he knew a girl that played football. My brother Wayne, he went to school with a girl called Tina Birchall, and he knew that she played, and my brother actually delivered milk to her house. So he kept asking her if she would take me to training. One day she turned up. I was 10, 11, and I went training with Sandbach, and my first session went all right. Then they asked me to sign, and I played for Sandbach from the age of 10, 11 till I was 16. Then I joined Crewe. The Crewe team that I played for were not part of Crewe Alexandra. It was just Crewe women. So yeah, that was the start of my journey.
And while you was at Crewe, that is when you made your England debut, wasn't it? How did that feel?
Yeah, yeah, we were very proud, and we actually played at Crewe Alexandra against Northern Ireland. So it was a comfortable debut for me in terms of my surroundings, my family, my friends were there to see the game. So yeah, I felt okay.
You playing for England, obviously you drew up the milestone of becoming the first black female to play for England. At the time, did you feel like you'd broke down any barriers, or was it not even in your head at that point?
It probably wasn't in my head about breaking down barriers, but it was in my head that I actually grew up in an area that was not diverse. So I was very much used to the fact that there were very few Caribbean, African families in the area where I grew up. So when I went into football, it was more or less the same. And you just get on with playing football. Then as you get older, you realise what you've done, what you've achieved.
I was going to say that if it wasn't in your head at that point about breaking down barriers, is it in your head now? Do you realise at that time what a big achievement it was?
Yeah, it is now, for the simple fact that actually the FA have decided, after a long period of time, to acknowledge my generation, what we did, what we achieved. People call us the pioneers, and I'm going to have to agree with that. Not just me, it was, I played alongside some great players, played against great players, and they're not got recognised, and all of a sudden people have realised that I was the first player of dual heritage to play for England, and I was top goal scorer for quite a while, so it's all moved on a little bit and people are taking notice.
We'll come on to your goal scoring record a little bit later on because it is quite impressive. 1985, you moved to Italy and spent 4 years in Italy. How was your experiences there?
So basically, I had the opportunity to at least, it was semi-professional, it wasn't professional, because the first team that I joined was Lazio, and we used to train in the evening, 2 or 3 times a week in the evening. When I played for Trani, we trained during the day. So it was the opportunity to develop as a footballer, as a person. I had to learn a new language, and I wanted to play football all the time. I was at that age, and Italy gave me that opportunity to focus on playing football instead of having to get up, go work, come back, train and play at the weekend.
While she was in Italy, you still continued, obviously, to represent England. I read that it was often at your own expense. Is that true?
It was often at all my own expense.
So how did that come about? Tell us a little bit about that.
So when I was playing in the early days, the Women's Football Association and the Men's Football Association were two separate entities. So basically the Women's FA had not got a lot of money. They said it was my choice to go play in Italy, so they couldn't afford to bring me back, so I paid my own way because I still wanted to continue to play for England.
That's obviously paid off. You played in 3 European Championships, as well as England's first official appearance at a World Cup. In that time, you racked up 44 goals in 82 games and held the record for the highest goal scorer until just over 10 years ago. So again, another huge achievement for you.
I did enjoy scoring goals. It was a strength of my game. So yeah, the fact that I was top goal scorer for a long period of time, yeah, it was a great achievement for me. I was very honoured to be there, and I felt, really positive about the fact that I stayed top goal scorer for that period of time.
Fast forward a little bit to 1989 and you returned to Crewe, so you moved back from Italy and come back to Crewe. Tell us a little bit about that journey there.
I just went back to what I knew, actually. My friends were still playing at Crewe. Yeah, they were a decent team. The National League hadn't formed then, but I felt comfortable playing for Crewe, and that's where I played some of my best football. So it was an easy decision to go back there.
And then you saw out your career in London. How did all your footballing career sort of come to a close, as it is?
It was my decision, actually. When I went to London, I joined Croydon. Then I actually finished playing at Croydon, and my friend, one of my friends, she was the coach at Millwall, and she asked me to come and help them out. So I did a season there. Then I just thought it's time to call it a day. So I did. So yeah, it was my decision, and that's how it happened.
Just going back to when you said about the FA recognising your generation, obviously it took some time, but now that it has been recognised, how do you feel, that your generation has been recognised?
Yeah, I'm happy because I think there's lots of players that they deserve it. It's as simple as that. But I think it took them too long. But some people say it's better late than never. I actually disagree with that. But I think that the people that are within the FA now, Kay Cossington, who's the technical director, you've got Serena Wiegman, the England manager, who I played against, and her staff, they're very positive towards the previous generations, and that's a really positive thing. I think it's like anything. When situations develop, there's a changing of staff. Women's football has become much bigger. The FA cannot ignore that now, that it needs investment, it needs development, so it gets better, and I think it's in a really good place and it can go further. And I think, as I said before, the people that were within the FA now, some really, really good people who support women's football how it should be supported, and that's been the major difference.
Going back to the start of the interview, you seem quite confident in the fact that you was a young black girl growing up playing football with the boys, and from what I can read, you weren't fazed by that. From then to now, can you see the barriers have been, or some barriers have been broken down to allow more black females to enter the game?
I think there's a saying, isn't there, that if you can see it, you can be it. So when I went to the '95 World Cup, there was 5 players of dual heritage in the squad. I think that there's never been those numbers since. But I think that there are lots of reasons why different communities don't like succeed in different sports. There's so many reasons that you can't put it to one thing. Pathways is the biggest thing. I think for me, because I did play football at school, but it was only at lunchtime and break time and no one stopped me. I think now that the government are pushing for girls to be able to play football at school, that's really important, especially in diverse areas. If you allow girls to play football, it's only, you know, they'll grow and develop and be able to join a team, you know, maybe go on to play for the national teams. I think there's still things to improve, but I do believe the FA are trying to readdress the balance, because if you're a young boy and you want to play football, there's so many pathways for girls. There isn't so much, but I believe that's going to change, and I want it to change, because I think the women's game needs to have those opportunities to develop and become big.
Now you've got time to sit back and look at your career. I guess, where do you start in summing it up? How could you sum up your own footballing career?
I think I retired happy-ish, and I'm happy with my achievements. Yeah, I would have preferred maybe to won the Euros against Sweden, maybe gone further in the World Cup, but we were playing against a great German team and a great Sweden team, and that's the way it goes sometimes. But at club level, I won the FA Cup, I won the National Championship, which is the WSL now, so I can't complain. There's some players that retire and they don't have medals. I've got one or two, so yeah, I'm in a good place.
Where are those medals now? Have you still got hold of them somewhere?
So during the Euros, the Gunsbury Park Museum, they had some of my stuff on display. They've now given that back to me, and the museum in Manchester has got some of my stuff, because they're always doing various projects, and they want 50% male, 50% women's collections on display. So I'm still doing some work with the museum. So yeah, some of my stuff is with them. Then the rest of it, I just did a talk recently and took my stuff with me, and it's still in a bag. I don't have it on display. Maybe I will one day, but I think it's things like that are better off in the museum, so I'll loan my stuff to the museum so other people can see it.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much for sharing your wonderful career with us. It's very much appreciated.